Joining us now, our first guest today is a member of the Oakland County government. She is the District 5 representative on the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Kristen Nelson joins us once again on the Oakland County Megacast. Commissioner Nelson, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So it's been a while since we've last had you on. How are things going with you as of late?
Things are going great. They're busy right now. It's budget season here in the county. So aside from working hard, getting our grants out to our communities with our CARES Act money, we are also charging full speed ahead with our budget hearings. So it's been busy.
How have those budget hearings been impacted by COVID-19? Obviously, there's been a lot of money that's been moved around. A lot of that's through grants and through federal CARES Act dollars. And we'll talk more about specifics on those programs that those are supporting in just a moment. But in terms of next year's budget, I would imagine it's taken a hit like many other municipalities and county governments and school districts have from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Sure. Just as everything else that we've seen, Oakland County has not been immune to the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. With that being said, we are charging full speed ahead. There's, a lot of things that have come to light in regards to the pandemic that, we're still going to work on, despite having, $219 million of the federal grant monies from the CARES Act, and knowing that expires, we have to use that money by the end of this year. We know going into 2021 that there are things and initiatives that we are still going to push forward despite not having that extra COVID money. So, mental health is a huge component. Looking at the social injustice aspect of it as well. So I'm really excited that as we proceed through the next couple of weeks with our budget hearings at the county, that we're going to still push forward with a lot of initiatives that you are seeing the county working on right now.
And that is really good news to hear, I would think, for anybody living in the area, especially in our local area, that we are commonly reporting on at our channels here at Civic Center TV and Lakes FM. Talking about the federal CARES Act money, and that has to be used, it has to be sent out and utilized by the end of the year in order to be utilized at all. There's so many programs currently underway or that are on the docket coming up soon in Oakland County to help support a variety of different communities within our Oakland County community. Can you go into detail about some of those key programs, who they're currently helping, and how people can get involved or apply for those dollars?
Absolutely. As we all know, many individuals and small businesses throughout Oakland County are struggling with the lingering costs associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. And Oakland County is working hard to bring much needed relief to our residents and small businesses suffering from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. As you said, back in April, the Oakland County received $219 million from the federal CARES Act money. And I am proudly to say that we are supporting so many different and amazing grant opportunities, and we're distributing millions of dollars to support our small businesses, our manufacturers, our local governments, our residents, nonprofits, and veterans with assistance programs for rent, mortgage, utility, and food assistance. Presently, right now, there are 6 active grants presently open, with grant deadlines ranging from anywhere mid-August all the way through the end of November to help support our local communities, residents, veterans, and nonprofits. I encourage everyone to check out the county's COVID resource website, because what you will see is you will see those active grants appear first. It's very important that those individuals interested in looking at applying, that they look at the eligibility components of it, because there are some unique eligibility requirements for some of those grants. However, if there are any questions, because let me tell you, with all these grant applications that have been going out over the course of the past couple months, it's very easy to get overwhelmed and confused and not really know what grants are going to be most applicable to me and what I'm looking at applying for. So I encourage every and all individuals and organizations to contact your county commissioners. I know I can be contacted at nelsonkd@oakgov.com. And in addition to, you can always call me. My phone number is 248-496-7968, because it is a difficult time to maneuver through a lot of these grants. And we're here to help, because we want people to apply for these grants. We want to give this money out. We just need people and businesses and nonprofits applying for them. And we are proudly continuously accepting those grant applications.
Oakland County Commissioner Kristen Nelson with us. She is from Oakland County's 5th District on the Oakland County MegaCast. Among these programs that are available, these 6 currently standing grants available to the public, I would say one of the most timely ones, given Governor Whitmer's eviction moratorium having since expired, would be the COVID-19 rent, mortgage, and utility relief program. Now, that doesn't expire until the end of the month of August, but people need that money as soon as possible, especially if they're in a situation where they are working out terms with their landlords or they're in a spot where they could potentially be evicted from their homes or are incurring late fees on their rent payments. Who can apply for this grant? How do they go about applying for it? And when can people expect an answer on whether or not they're going to get these funds and how much they might get, considering this is so timely for many people?
Perfect. It's a really great question, Tyler, because this is one of our trickier grants presently right now, because not all cities, villages, and townships will be eligible. And I say that prefacing it first and foremost because it's important to know. And a lot of times the big question is, well, why is that? I just spoke with a group in Waterford Township yesterday in regards to this. And so basically there are a half a dozen local city, villages, and townships that are not eligible through this Oakland County grant for rent, mortgage, and utility assistance because the federal government gave those local city, villages, and townships direct federal CARES monies. And each of those city, villages, and townships have decided what they're going to do with that money. So again, first and foremost, please make sure that you are eligible for this specific grant, and rest assured, we hear our residents loud and clear that this still is not enough, and we need to make sure that there is more support for individuals when it comes to rent, utility, and mortgage. As you said, there's 2 things that expire at the end of this month, and that's your $600 additional of unemployment, and in addition to what you just said in regards to the evictions. And we know that come September and October and into November, this is when our constituents and our citizens are going to need the most support. So as we open up this grant process, it is definitely in the works of looking at what more we can do to help assist the people within our communities across Oakland County. As far as how do you apply and the time frame, I encourage any and all who are interested to apply ASAP. And one of the great things that we have learned throughout our grant application process is the timeliness in making sure that this money is being deposited into the accounts of individuals. So hear me when I say that it is at the forefront of our brains right now to make sure that when those applications get turned in and we bring them forth to our oversight committee, our goal is to have a turnaround rate of no more than 2 to 3 weeks of these grants going back out into the public's pocket.
With so many people in need, every line filled out, every I dotted, every T crossed is going to be important. What information should people be prepared to provide to the county as they're applying for these grants to ensure that they put their best foot forward?
That's a really great question, because each grant is unique to what exactly the application pertains to. That information can vary. I do know, we did receive some feedback from our small businesses early on that some of the questions and the time that it took to fill out the grant applications was a lot. So in light of that, what we did as a county is we increased the number of people, not automated systems, not automated, answering machines, but people to assist individuals in filling out this information. So unfortunately, I don't have a concrete answer for you in regards to what information is specifically needed. I do, however, want to say that if there is any questions or any problems or any concerns with the information that is required in these grants, reach out to us. We have people on call and ready and willing to help assist through this process.
Kristen Nelson with us. She is the Oakland County Board of Commissioners representative from the 5th District with us on the Oakland County Megacast, and Commissioner Nelson, as we're approaching the fall, kids are going to be going back to school. That's right now been the critical issue, at least in the state of Michigan and for many other places across the union, as schools prepare to bring students back, as parents and families prepare to bring students back into the classroom as well, whether it be in hybrid capacity or fully in school or fully virtual, whatever the case may be. But a lot of our local school districts, with budget cuts from the state of Michigan that are still not entirely clear to them in terms of per pupil cuts, and added programs that are in place now to protect the students and to ensure that education has continuity regardless of what happens with COVID-19. There's still a lot of monetary struggles for these schools as they're preparing. We talked yesterday with Avondale School Superintendent Dr. James Schwartz about their preparations to try to get technological equipment for students should they have to go back from all in person to all virtual, and they're still struggling financially to make that happen. Is there anything in the works at the Oakland County level to help support our local school districts as they continue to make these efforts to educate our children during the pandemic?
Yes, that is a great question, and I'm glad we are talking about this. As I previously had said, when we take a look at the CARES money, there is a time frame and a timeline that money has to be spent. So in recent conversations that we've had earlier in this week, it was bringing to the board, what can we do to help support our public schools throughout Oakland County? As you touched upon, broadband internet is a really big component. Having accessibility to technology, computers and laptops is a huge area that we have to do better on. I don't have a lot of information to give you right now as far as specifics, but I can guarantee that as we move past December and into 2021, and as we proceed through our budget hearings over the next couple weeks, there are conversations presently taking place in regards to how Oakland County can still further assist our schools past the CARES Act monies. And I'm really excited to come back here in the next couple months and share with you some of the great supports that we are looking at implementing within our schools. And right now we're working with a variety of different partnerships outside in regards to looking at what we can do to partner with these organizations for inside of our school. One of the most pressing issues right now is mental health. We know we've all experienced our own personal journey through this pandemic. And as we all know, the challenges are still going to continue into the new year. And so with that being said, we are planning on looking at a variety of different ways that we can help financially support our school districts, because it is so important. Education is so important. As a previous special education teacher who, I taught in public schools for 15 years, it's scary times right now. And I just think that it's so important that we support each other and not point fingers at each other, but do the best that we can with the information and the data that we have presently to help drive what is the safest means of going about getting our students back into the classroom. I think that, virtual platforms are a really great alternative, but I don't think it's the one solution for all students. So hear me when I say we are definitely working behind the scenes to look at what we can do as a county to help support our public schools in Michigan.
Kristen Nelson with us. She's the Oakland County Board of Commissioners representative from District 5 on the topic of mental health, because we've talked with other people about the pandemic's impact on different areas of life and what residual, for lack of better terms, residual epidemics that will be spanning from the pandemic even after it passes. We talked with Gary Gilbert from Oakland University about the infodemic we're in, about misinformation and how we're consuming news. And we've talked with mental health experts also about the lingering effects that this pandemic is going to have on the general community. And of course, you've touched on that approach from the angle of how we're going to help our students, but how are we going to help everybody else, our adults and our seniors in the local community through their mental health crises that may amount from the pandemic? Is there anything in the works in Oakland County through the health department, through the Board of Commissioners, through the executive office, or partnership thereof that will help these people going forward?
Increasing access to mental health and wellness programs and services is a top priority. We all know that in order for us to have healthy communities, we have to have healthy people that make up those communities, and we must do better at providing people with the resources and tools that they need to sustain overall mental, physical wellness. I heard somebody say the other day, they coined the term COVID-19 fatigue. And I swear I completely understood the concept of that, because we are all going through, challenging times, not just as a community, not just as a county, not just as a state, not just as a country, but each and every one of us are going through our own personal journey within all of this. And it is so important that we have supports and increased supports to help people who are struggling and adjusting to not just life post, COVID-19, but maintaining that motivation to continue to move forward in these uncharted waters. And I think that's one of the biggest areas right now that has a lot of us in a very unstable place of just not knowing what the future is going to bring, because there is so many unknowns. The other big piece with this is here just this past April, I proudly got to spearhead a new task force in the county. It's our social connectedness task force with our seniors. We've known that loneliness and isolation has been a mental health issue amongst our seniors for quite some time, and COVID has only exacerbated that. And so one of the things that this task force is aimed at doing is trying to look at solutions to how we can help eliminate that digital divide that has severely isolated our older adults, low income individuals, and others who face those barriers accessing those online resources and tools. So we are well aware that there are things that we could start to do better here in the county as we move forward. And we've never gone through a pandemic like this before with COVID-19. And so we're learning along the way. We're learning what we could do better next time. But most importantly, it's identifying those weak points presently and not just relying on the CARES money to help support those efforts, but also making sure that as we move forward within our budget in Oakland County, that we are keeping these same concepts and priorities at the forefront of our future.
Commissioner Nelson, anything else you'd like to touch on today before we let you go?
Yes, I want to touch upon one thing, and you were talking about it earlier on. There is so much miscommunication out there in regards to wearing masks, and it is so important to get through this noise and get down to the nuts and bolts on why it is so important that we wear masks. The science is clear. Wearing face masks that cover your mouth and your nose helps prevent the spread of COVID-19. As one of my favorite astrophysicists says, the good thing about science is it's true whether or not you believe in it. Science is not in the statements, science is in the evidence. And there are studies that demonstrate and show that more people wearing masks means greater protection for everybody. And I think it's important that we kind of remember that I wear a mask to keep you safe, and you wear a mask to keep me safe. And, while wearing a mask is a reduction strategy rather than an absolute prevention, it's still important. I mean, nobody is taking cholesterol medication because they're going to prevent a heart attack 100% of the time, but you're reducing your risk. It's the same thing of, clearing out that candy and cookie drawer. It's not going to melt off maybe those extra 15 pounds you gained during quarantine, but you're reducing your likelihood of going back into that drawer and gaining further weight. So it's just really important to recognize that we have to wear face masks to move forward. And, requiring the public to wear face coverings in indoor spaces and outdoor crowded spaces isn't just about protecting people, but it's about protecting the gains that we've made as a state and as a county and it's strengthening our ability to get our economy back on track. Containing this virus is a community effort. And not only do individuals need to wear face masks, but it also requires our businesses to support this effort. The economic toll of COVID-19 is going to continue to mount, and yet reopening our economy is essential to moving forward. And one of the ways that we can guarantee better results of moving forward is protecting ourselves and taking personal responsibility of protecting other people.
Well, Commissioner Nelson, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Kristen Nelson, Oakland County Commissioner from the 5th District, with us on the Oakland County Megacast.